my name is Zakia, also known as Soap Lady Z, and today we are answering a very common question. What is the difference between cold processed soap versus hot processed soap? If you want to know the answer, or if you have the answer, stick around and see if we agree. Okay, everybody. So, like I said, my name is Zakia. I make my own handcrafted natural soap. I am also the founder and creator of Live Soap School. So we are, I don't want that. Hold on, guys. Because I know what I did. I opened it up to test. Yes, we are live. Oh, all of you that are on YouTube, hello there. Make sure that you do whatever you need to do so that you can actually stay up to date when I do go live. So again, my name is Zakia. I make my own handcrafted natural soap and I typically do it live. It looks like there's a problem on one of the platforms, which is always good to know. So I'll just repurpose this video. No need to stick around and try and figure out what's happening with that one. So if you have any questions, any comments at all, please let me know and then I will be able to respond. But I've been making soap now since 2015. And typically when I am live streaming, I get the same kind of questions over and over again. So I thought it would be a good idea to do a video where I can actually see or actually respond to one of the number one questions that I get. And that question is, what's the difference? Why would I want to make something called cold processed soap or hot processed soap? And why would I actually, what's the benefit of them? And so I'm going to try and be very quick and answer that question. Hello, Inez, good to see you. For some reason, your comment is not coming up, which tells me that I got some janky stuff going on. So let's start with hot processed soap. And I'm going to start with that one because the name says what it is. So hot processed soap is using the external heat to cook the soap through, to make it go through all of the saponification phases. So once you take your soap off of that heat source and you put it into a mold, technically you could use it. Most soap makers will probably still hold off for about 2 or 3 weeks to let any of the excess water come out of that batch of soap. However, when you are using hot processed soap, you get a really thick consistency unless you alter it by adding yogurt or sugar or different additives to thin it out. So as you can see, I'm going to bring you to this camera here. What about now? You guys didn't tell me you couldn't hear me. Can you all hear me? We may have to do this whole thing all over again. We got several of you on the YouTube side. Can you guys hear me over there? Zara? Am I saying your name right? Drea, how are you? Am I saying your name right, Zara? I don't think I've ever seen you live, but welcome, welcome, welcome. Very happy to have you here, for sure. All right, so let's see. What's happening? I don't know. Can hear now. Yeah, when I noticed it said that my microphone was muted. I'm going to switch back to the other camera because this one for some reason looks very washed out. So as you can see, you get a very plain bar of soap. And listen, there is beauty in simplicity. My number one selling soaps are those that I don't have any fantastic coloring or fragrances, designs, or swirls. But sometimes, on occasion, you want to get kind of creative. And I think that's getting washed out, so I may need to switch it back over. So let me switch it to this camera. Okay. So as you can see, this one, you can get it's a much more fluid pour. So you can control the thickness of the soap as you are pouring it into the mold, which is going to give you the opportunity to have various design elements in there. So I never really said what's the difference. Hot process soap, you have an external heat source, typically in a crock pot, a roaster oven, on the stove top, in the oven. You are making your soap that way. And once it goes through all of the saponification processes, you end up with a bar of soap that can be used almost immediately. It's not that it's not completely done. The problem is, depending on how much water is in your recipe, there's going to be some additional water that you want to let get out so that you have a really hard bar of soap to use when you're ready. So letting it sit and cure for about 2 to 3 weeks is probably best practice for most soap makers. Cold process soap, the name can be extremely deceiving because there is nothing cold about the temperature of the soap. The only reason it uses that term, cold process, is because there is no external heat being added to it so that it goes through the saponification process. So cold process soap, yes, you are saying it right. Cool. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to have you here, Zara. And now I'm saying it wrong because I know that's not how I said it the first time. So with cold process soap, you are able to get intricate swirls. You can control how thick or how thin your consistency is. But this one has a waiting period. This one you typically have to wait between 4 and sometimes 6 to 8 weeks. And if you're doing an all olive oil soap, you'll be having that on your shelf for about a year before you can use it. So what's the difference? Hot process soap you can use almost immediately. Cold process soap you have to wait for about 4 to 8 weeks. I'm going to say 4 to 8 weeks depending on the recipe. So you have your cold process soap, which you can get very intricate swirls and designs. You have hot process soap where it's pretty plain. You can get some basic swirls in here unless you do one of the more advanced hot process techniques where you're adding different ingredients to it. There is Sharon Johnson. She created the stick blender hot process method, I believe. And there's other people who have created different renditions of hot process so that you have a more fluid consistency for pouring. So it's the thickness. Well, why would you want to use hot process soap over cold process soap? My number one time for choosing hot process over cold process soap is if I have a fragrance oil that just misbehaves out of this world. When I first started making soap, nobody told me that you do not buy a fragrance in a 1 pound batch before you know whether or not it's going to work. I'm going to switch you over because this camera is so washed out. That one, there we go. It's a little bit better. So nobody told me you don't buy 16 ounces of the soap or of the fragrance oil. Yes, you are saying it right. You buy 1 ounce containers so that you can try them out and see if you like them. But if you know about your fragrance oils or any of your essential oils or any ingredients that you use for soap making, you save money by buying in bulk. So why would I pay $8 for 1 ounce when I can pay $20 for 16 ounces? Well, you learn the answer to that when it misbehaves in your soap by either ricing or seizing. And if it does that, then your soap becomes almost impossible to stir. You got to do a lot of work. That's when typically blood, sweat, and tears comes about with your soap making process. And so in those instances, you definitely want to start with small ones. However, if you have gotten a 16 ounce one and you've tried it in a 5 pound batch of cold processed soap and it just doesn't perform well, you can save some money by not tossing the fragrance oil and using that in your hot processed soap. Because with hot processed soap, it's not reacting with the lye, and you can add your fragrances in at the end and it will not do any kind of ricing or seizing. Whether or not the scent lasts is a whole nother story for a whole different broadcast. Hello there. It's very good to see you as well. Thank you for coming in. So if you guys have any questions for me at all, please feel free to let me know. Erica is saying hey. Brian is saying hey. Deborah is saying hey. I want to say hi to all of you that have joined me live. Be sure to let me know if you have any questions. Send me a message. Hey, Dr. Vanessa. Hey, how are you? Very good to see you. So, there you have it. That's the difference between hot process soap and cold process soap. Hot process, you are using external heat to force the saponification process. Cold process, you are depending on the temperature of the oils in your lye solution to force that saponification process. The other two differences are the cure time, so how quickly you can use it after you slice it out of the mold. And then the other difference is when you are adding in your additives. You add all of your additives, your fragrances, and all of that after the cook, most of the time with hot process. So it's not interacting with the lye solution. So if you ever have a problematic fragrance, you want to go with hot process. Don't waste your money. Don't throw the fragrance out. You can still use it for hot process. If you are trying to get intricate swirls, twirls, designs, and colors, and you don't want to add all of those additional additives to loosen up your batter, because remember, as a handmade soap maker, anything that you put inside your pot also needs to go on the label. So, cold process will be your answer because you can control the thickness and the consistency of your pour, the viscosity of the fluidness. Hey, Marcia, how are you? So that's the difference. If you are somebody that is trying to figure out cold process soap making, I am the author of this book here. I'm going to switch you over one more again. Somebody's tweeting or something. This is my book, which is the new Soap Maker's Cookbook. It teaches you how to make cold process soap from scratch. And I'm just going to read a reading with Zakia. How about that? How you like those apples? So how to use this book. Is this book for you? Maybe, maybe not. This book is written to introduce you to soap making using the cold process method. If you're a beginner and you have never made soap before, I recommend reading from beginning to end and dog-earing the pages to review later. Reading it in a manner in this way will actually help you to form a solid foundation of important concepts in order to be successful. If you're somebody that's saying, I've got everything and I know the cold process method, you may have watched a ton of videos, you've read several blogs, and you're just ready to get started. You have everything that you need, so you can skip right to part 2 of this book that has some of my tried and true recipes. If you're just curious, you're like, what's this thing about I can make my own soap at home? I could do that? Really? Yes, you can. If you are curious, go through the table of contents in this book, find something that interests you, and jump right to it. My book is available exclusively on Amazon, both in a paperback and an ebook format. If you go to bit.ly/soap books. It's also available on my website, naturalsoapbyzakia.com, not Expedia. Do you guys have any questions for me before I stream down? Yes. Thank you, Leticia. Do you guys have any questions at all? And I will figure out what in the world happens in my comments in a little bit. Make sure that if you want to get notified that you do the thing that you need to do on the platforms in order to do that. And I am being very cryptic in the way that I am saying things because several of the platforms that I live stream on, they're just changing the goalpost. They keep changing it. And now we are not allowed to say things like, comment over there. Even if you're watching this on the replay, I know we have very old habits where we used to type in #replay, and that's just letting the person know that, hey, I missed you live, but I want you to know. Are you still selling my soaps? I am. Everything above my head. I just recently updated my website too. My website is naturalsoapbyzakia.com. My books are available on my website as well. I'm the author of 3 soap making books specifically for beginners. If you're not a beginner, you probably don't need my books. But if you're brand new to soap making, that is why it's called the new Soap Maker's Cookbook series. It's for the new folks. Experienced folks, you can probably get the most out of my Ingredients for Success book. Or if you just want to support another soap maker, get the books. They're in ebook and paperback format. So, Leticia, I think I have answered your question. Let me check over here to see if I missed anything. Thank you for sharing, Frazier. I appreciate it. So this is where I was going with the being careful on what I say, because I am multi-streaming on several platforms simultaneously. One platform, you can play music. Another platform, don't you dare play music. One platform, I can invite all of you to click a certain button so that you get notified when I go live or when I publish content. Another one is saying that's engagement bait. You're doing that just so the algorithm, you see how I said that? Algorithm thinks that people will care about your content. But I don't know another way, so now I'm trying to figure out what's the right way to do that. I gotta get your book. Well, I posted you on my page. Thank you, Dr. Vanessa. Did you get my message about the ends in the whipped soap? Yes, Drea, I have set aside 2. That means I only have 1 more bag of my pound of soap, guys. I am selling my ends, and they come in just like this little baggie here. I make my soap live, so most people actually watch me cut the soap while I am live. And on one of my broadcasts, somebody said, well, what are you doing with those ends? I also had a coworker that used to say, I just want your butts, Zakia. And we work in HR, so that was kind of inappropriate. It was kind of inappropriate, but I knew what she meant. And so she would buy just the ends of my soap. So I now have all of my ends bagged up. And these are a pound of soap ends just for you. And not only do you get this, when you order that, you also get what's known as a soap saver. Guys, in my house, in particular, we use our soap down to the last stinking drop. The last stinking drop. So because these are ends, most people waste that end. What you do is you actually put those end pieces inside of this soap saver. It will lather until you get a pea size of soap in there. So everybody who gets the bag of ends or the pound of soap, they actually get this to go with it so they can lather up and actually experience it. And it's a nice way to try out several of my soaps. I am excited. Me too. Thank you so very much. All right. Did I miss anything else? Long story short, or short story long. Do I have any slime left? Wait, now your comments are coming up. I don't understand. I have 2 of the slimes left, Drea, and I still have to send one because one of them did not make it. Excellent. Now I can pull you guys up here so I can properly let you guys know who was here. Let's pull you up there. That's Drea. Yes, I did. Drea is not only a Live Soap School alumni, she's also a part of Soap Nation. Inez, who was here very early, saying hello. So hello right back to you. Zara, I love your name. I know I'm saying it wrong, but hello, hello. Drea is saying hello. So we have the Drea twins. There are live streaming twins. Oh, now I got a phone call. Hold on. I got to tell her I'll call her back. Well, I'll just silence it for a second. Erica, hello there. I won't say your Periscope name, but hey girl, hey, how are you? Zara said I was saying her name right. It's very good to see you too, Leticia. Dr. Vanessa, who said, let's grab you. She posted me on her page. That is one of the nicest things that you guys can do because that helps to spread the message a little bit further. A little bit further now. I'm going to order when you live again so I can get a bonus. Hold on, Zakia. Don't fill my order yet. I'm going to wait until you're live. And then that way, because I do live bonuses. When people order while I am live, I try and send them something. Hey, Kim, how are you? I try to send them something as a thank you for ordering while I'm live. It's very encouraging. Like while you're cutting your soap, while you're whipping it up, and your phone goes, the little cash register sound. You guys can't ever hear it because I have this on mute. But the whole time, it's kind of like that, but it sounds like a cash register going cha-ching. But the notifications come down. while we are live. And so I like to send you guys bonuses. All right. Leticia is giving me a blushing face. That's a blushing face. So, if you didn't know, now you know. Baby, baby, in my Biggie Smalls voice, the difference. I'm going to quiz you, but, you know, most of you already know the answers because I can see, based on who is here, some of you are soap makers. Some of you are in my online school. Some of you have watched enough of my live streams to know, number one, that saponification is a thing. Number two, I have said this a couple of times, but I have gotten the question on Twitter, and my books just came in. I will be speaking at the annual Soap Makers Conference, and they ordered my books that they're going to carry while we're there. And while I was looking over my order, this book showed up, and at the same time, there was a message on Twitter saying, should I do cold processed soap or hot processed soap? And it really depends on what you are after. Hot processed soap, you're going to be using heat, and you're going to be able to use your soap much faster. However, if you don't add any additional additives to it, the consistency is very thick. Cold processed soap, on the other hand, there is no external heat. You are depending on the temperature of your lye solution as well as your oils and butters to force that saponification process, and it has a little bit longer of a curing period. However, there is a trick you can do to shorten your curing period on everything that you make. We'll talk about that on another broadcast. My name is Zakia of LiveSoapSchool.com. It has been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure to have all of you here. I am on a 90-day challenge across all platforms to figure out what in the heck is it that we're doing. Bye, everybody. If you have questions, you know what you can do. Let me know somewhere. You know what you could do. Let me know somewhere. Bye, guys.